Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore. We are live. So amazing to have over 2,000 people in the building right now. I was waiting until we got around that number, and we're growing fast. And we are here with another story about the Royals. Some of you guys get annoyed when I cover it. I heard some in the chat. And I know we're trying to pivot some other stories here on Planet because, again, this is supposed to be a channel with all pop culture. But right now, there's no other real big story. We're still coming off of that Jamaican premiere, which was, guys, it was like a warning shot to the Royals. We are going to go with a country that's trying to remove itself from the monarchy. If you think these two royals aren't, Meghan and Harry royals, aren't actually manipulative, crazy con people, I don't know what else to tell you. And I thought, you know what better way to explain it than to go through Piers Morgan? Because I know a lot of you guys are still, some of you, my casual viewers, aren't as deep in. A lot of you people who already know the truth about Meghan and Harry, you're going to go, amen, preach, woo. But I thought this was a good video to play because what was so interesting to me about this wasn't just what Piers was saying, which was spot on. He says a lot of good stuff in this. And again, I don't always agree with everything. I didn't love Piers's thing about the Barbie movie. Don't agree fully with everything he said there. Don't always agree with everything political. Sometimes I do. But when it comes to the Royals, Piers is pretty spot on in these takes on what he says about Harry and Meghan. I'm not a royalist like him. I'm an American. No offense to all you royalists and people who live out there. It's not my government. I don't care. It's not that I have a government. You know what I mean? It's not my system. It doesn't affect me in the slightest. But I respect it. And I hear what he's saying. And I've learned it through Steph and my friends. Like, okay, I get it now. And I think he's going to explain a lot here that I thought was worth watching. So we're going to start and stop from time to time to offer you this commentary, but I felt this was newsworthy and informative and educational because I want you guys to really get why we're so troubled by Meghan. And so here's Charlemagne the God who's going to ask.
I do want to talk to you. Do you regret what you said about Meghan Markle in regards to her mental health? Because, you know, I'm a huge mental health advocate. Yeah. And none of us know what people are truly going through. Do you believe that you were insensitive to her mental health?
Well, for people that don't know, what did you say?
So here are these two hosts. They're coming at him already with the, man, are you going to apologize? You went against Meghan Markle's mental health. And to be fair, yeah, that was the issue. Piers was like, let go because he was on news talking about not believing it. Now he's going to clarify. Let's actually hear what happened. And Piers is right. This is what happened.
So she went on Oprah Winfrey in that infamous interview, and she made a claim that she had had suicidal thoughts and she'd gone to a senior member of the Buckingham Palace staff and asked for help and was told you can't have any effectively because it would be bad for the royal brand. I did not believe that happened. So what's happened since? This is over 2 years ago, right?
Now, but important just to pause, and again, I got to offer this commentary. He didn't say he didn't believe she was unaliving thoughts. He didn't believe that the Buckingham Palace ignored her request. And that's really what he said.
Ever since then, not a single shred of evidence or a name of that person has ever been produced. Prince Harry writes a book of over 400 pages, never mentions this.
You'd think that would be a very instrumental part of a book breaking down the problems of the royal palace, etc. Who wouldn't let her do this?
Didn't mention the racism claims either. It was like they never happened. He then said later, I didn't mean to say that the royal family were racist. We didn't. It was the media. Bullshit. You said that members of the royal family, it turned out to be King Charles and Kate, had expressed negative concern about the potential skin color of your baby, which that conversation will have never happened. And there is no evidence that it happened in the way they tried to imply. Well, Oprah gasped in horror.
The Oprah face. What? Are you saying what I think you're saying? And then Meghan's like, if you think I'm saying that, then yes, that's what I'm saying. It's a whole tee up with the two of them. That's why I don't like Oprah. Oprah feigned this crazy like surprise and then made it even more sinister. And you got to remember, this was also hearsay. This was something Meghan heard from Harry. Meghan didn't hear it directly.
And so for 2 years, the royal family have had to deal with being accused of being callous racists who don't care about a young woman's suicidal thoughts and don't care about being brazenly racist about the skin color of their child. I said, I don't believe those things happened.
So you weren't dismissing her mental health and what she may have been going through.
No, and in fact,
you were dismissing what she...
No, and I went on my morning show the next morning and spent a minute.
I need a throne like that. Who can help me build a throne like that for my chair for Popcorn Palace? Somebody let me know. Any builders out there?
Clarifying my view about mental health. Right? I think mental health is incredibly important. People should talk about mental health. But on that specific thing, I repeat it, is it feasible that somebody at Buckingham Palace at a high level said to a young woman who said, I feel suicidal, you cannot get help. And by the way, Harry at the time was the figurehead of a major mental health charity. Why couldn't he get her help?
And I want you all, if you are a fan of Meghan, answer that question that Piers just put out there. Like, what on earth is she talking about? She's saying, I have suicidal thoughts. I need help. And you're telling me Buckingham Palace said, sorry, shove it in whatever. You can't do anything about it. Just go sit in your room. Huh? Oh, and then he's telling Harry, and then Harry, again, with all his mental health resources, etc., they couldn't do anything to solve this? It is absolutely huge red flags. Huge red flags. Piers is spot on the money. And this was early on, guys. You got to remember, this is what she's out there telling everybody when she's painting this narrative as they're exiting the country, which again, now fast forward today, they're posing with Jamaican prime ministers, etc., who have been very vocal in the end of the monarchy. Yeah, this was all the plan, guys.
Right? None of it made sense to me. But in his book, it never gets mentioned. There's not a mention of her mental health or suicidal thoughts, right? There's not a mention of the supposed racism again. It's like it never happened.
That's a good point about what you said about Prince Harry. So
why
he is a big mental health advocate.
Yeah, look at this. So now you got Charlemagne the God, who's like trying to be the host, who's defending everybody. He's like, that's a good point. You know what? You're changing my mind on this Meghan Markle character.
Huge.
So why do you think that she's lying? Or
I think she's a liar. And I think he, unfortunately, is a liar too. And we saw it again this week. They called their daughter Lilibet. Now, that at the time was an incredibly sensitive thing because Prince Philip was dying. And this was his nickname for his wife, the Queen. And only a very tiny number of people called her Lilibet, including him mainly. So he would sign, she would sign letters to him, Lilibet. It was very special. And it emerged that Harry and Meghan were going to call their daughter Lilibet, okay? And then when there was a big furore about this, they said, well, we had the permission of the Queen. Turned out to be an absolute lie.
So set that in. Settled with that because Prince Philip's sick. Or passes at the time anyway, but still his private thing. Queen's dealing with all that. We lose Prince Philip. All this, and then they're like, we're going to take the name and call him Lilibet. Oh, and we got the Queen's permission. And then we learned they actually didn't. They're caught again, exposed again with their attempt to damage control, distract, deflect, spin was what they do. And again, it's very easy because the media protects them. The media has lifted them up as these eternal victims. She is a black woman, a powerful black woman, victim. Oh, basically. There are certain people who will hear the whine and just go, oh, my heart breaks for you. Oh, imagine hearing this and being sad. Oh, brings tears to my eyes. That crying child. But there's a lot of people who buy the bullshit. And I bought a little bit of it too. I just didn't really care enough to look into it because the royals aren't important to me. But so many people have just bought this narrative that's been spun by the media, protecting them. And I do think the royals were helping for a period of time. Even though Harry and Meghan keep trying to say that they weren't, I think they were. While they complain of all the mean stuff, everybody gets mean stuff. I get mean stuff all the time. I got some people obsessed with me, guys. Like it's like they cannot move on with their lives. Like they need to be in a mental asylum level of that nobody cares anymore. Move on with your life. But people are crazy. Like some people are just obsessed. And you can see that these two had to screw loose as things were going, as the truth was coming out. These two people were never being honest, and the media was protecting them. But finally, the lights have been shined. Piers has been calling out Steph. A lot of people have been calling him out for a long time. But now the clock is ticking. Time's running out. They've been exposed. And what's so beautiful about this interview is Piers is basically turning these two hosts against them.
They did not have the permission of the Queen.
Wow.
A book has just come out, written by a very authoritative journalist with full access to all the royals, including all the royal household. And they've made it crystal clear that the royal household said they'd never seen the Queen so angry as when she discovered they were going to call their daughter Lilibet, her private nickname from her husband, who had by now died, right?
Wow.
So I think they speak with forked tongue. And I think it's caused enormous damage to the royal family's reputation. not least here and in the Caribbean, where, of course, many countries still are part of the Commonwealth.
And which they just posed with Jamaica, who want to remove themselves from the monarchy.
I think a lot of black people around the world thought, wow, they're just a bunch of nasty racists. And there's never been any evidence. And when I found out through this, you may remember a few weeks ago, this guy Omid Scobie, who wrote a book about always
Eyebrows, lick spittle.
supporting the Sussexes, wrote a new book about the downfall of the monarchy, as he put it. And a Dutch version of the book suddenly named Charles and Kate as the people who supposedly made these racist remarks. Everyone in Britain went, oh, don't be so ridiculous, right? They're the last two people on earth who'd ever be racist or say something of the negative context about a skin color of a baby. And I would ask you guys an interesting question, which I asked at the time, to huge furore again. But when you have a white father, Meghan's father's white, and a black mother, and you're about to have a baby as the daughter, is it not a common conversation where someone might say, oh, by the way, what color might the baby be? Is that not a perfectly normal question to ask when you have one white parent, one black parent? I would say it is.
You know who you should have on your show to have this discussion? A great scholar in America named Dr. Umar Johnson.
Right.
You should have.
But what do you guys think? Well, what do you guys think? Honestly,
I've never heard that conversation.
But do you know people in that position?
No, I've never heard them.
Okay,
say
so
what.
I do, right?
So I don't know any people who have white wives or black fathers. That's okay.
In Britain,
I haven't. I'm not
in
saying
Britain,
it
it's pretty common, right? You have a lot of mixed race parents, and then you have a child, and they all came out and said, "Well, yeah, we've had that conversation." So the question then becomes,
Chris Rock did a whole routine on it. Like, this is ridiculous.
not the question if that was what was said. We still don't know.
Right.
It becomes, what was the intonation of the question? Was there a negative concern element to that question? Well, I hope it isn't going to be too dark. Now, nobody believes Charles or Kate would have ever said anything like that.
Why do you think they're trying to take down? It seems like you're saying they're trying to take down the royal family
Yes.
or make them look bad or make them look
Whilst
like racist.
keeping their royal titles, which I think is sickening hypocrisy.
Well, why? Why do you think they would want to do that?
Because
I mean, this guy's so dumb. Sorry. Why would they? Because they're power control.
I have to say, I think Meghan Markle is a very manipulative person.
Now, we caveat, disclaimer. Weren't they didn't he try to date her at one point? The only thing we got to remind people of, I guess she ghosted him was the story I read. They were friends. I guess maybe they weren't dating, but they went out for dinner or something a couple times and got along. And then as soon as he met Prince Harry, it was the same night she met Prince Harry, she ghosted Piers and never talked to him again. I remember reading that story, and it was kind of crazy. And then Piers was so pissed and never engaged with her after. I guess he did. It was nice in the beginning, but he was always a little frustrated. Why'd you ghost me?
Who
You don't like her at all, do you?
Not at all. I think she's been poisonous to our royal family's reputation, very damaging to the monarchy. And I'm a huge monarchist and support our thing.
If, I have to ask, if she was 100% Caucasian,
I didn't.
would you feel the same? If it was the same
Oh,
rhetoric,
What a stupid question.
oh my God!
if she was doing the same thing,
I don't
but she was
racism,
white,
but yeah, we
Let
know
me
what
be
you
clear.
mean.
would you say she's poisoning the royal family?
Only if she accused him of being.
See, this is the problem here because this guy's Charlemagne and the host, they're so uneducated on this topic and they think it's about race. It has nothing to do with race. But why do they think it's about race? Because Meghan and Omid Scobie keep making it about race. So then all these idiots on the outside, on the peripheral, keep making it about race when it has nothing to do with race.
Being a bunch of racists with no evidence.
Well, she couldn't do that if she was
Well, if she was
white, right?
Of course.
Right.
So obviously it's only because she herself, right, is, well, she says she's black. She's from a mixed race parenting.
She says she's black.
She made incredibly serious allegations about the royal family being racist and has produced no evidence. And like I say, why did Harry not mention this in his book if it was that serious?
He probably loves his family still.
He hates his family.
I love that too. Well, because he loves his family. No. Wrong. He does not. That's debatable. I'm sure he does. Part of him does, but he's not showing it. I will agree with Pearson that he's definitely not showing the love to his family.
He doesn't talk to any of his family.
You think he really hates them, though?
She doesn't talk to anyone in her family, right? So you have somebody from a toxic family herself who only talks really to her mother. At the wedding, she only had one guest, the mother, right? And, you asked me, did Meghan Markle's skin color play any part in my argument about it? No, right to the point she played the race card with no evidence, which I thought was disgraceful. And there's been no evidence since.
So you was fine with her up until that point?
I got on very well with Meghan Markle before she met Harry. Right?
Yeah, they were hanging out, and then she met Harry.
She's perfectly nice, right? I liked Suits. I thought she was good in it.
So you still watch Suits?
Yeah.
Okay.
Love Suits. Absolutely love Suits. And so it was never in fact, I wrote a piece, which you can go and find, on the day they got married, a big piece for the Mail on Sunday, saluting this wonderful moment for the royal family of the first biracial marriage we'd had. Everyone in Britain celebrated this. Britain, you've got to understand about
This
Britain.
is true. This is true
We're
also.
a very multicultural, tolerant country. By every poll
I mean, I'm sure there's a couple racists in there, Piers. But yes, overall, I'm sure you guys are lovely.
that comes out, people consider Britain to be one of the most tolerant, multicultural places on earth. And I would say that, having lived there most of my life, right? We don't have the kind of incendiary race issues that you have in America. All the history. Just
Is that true? Do you guys think with Piers is right? Is there more racism in America? I mean, I'm not saying that it's not true, but I'm curious. You guys leave a comment. Let me know.
doesn't exist in the same way. And that's why what happened on that Oprah interview was so shocking and so damaging. And then the question became, well, was it true? And I've got to say, sitting here now, 2 years later, no, it wasn't true.
How would she prove that if it was, though? Like, how would she prove she went to somebody and expressed her mental health concerns? Like, how would anybody be able to fact check that?
I love this because, right? Okay, so yeah, Piers, whatever. Okay, I'm listening to you, but come on, you couldn't prove it. There's no way to prove it. Watch what Piers says.
She just has to give us a name. Who was it?
Oh, got you.
Who was it?
Oh, okay, yeah. That's a good point. He's literally like, yeah, all right, you're right. You know what? Why isn't she giving the name?
And she could have named the alleged royal racists and let them defend themselves. But instead, by not naming them, and you got to remember in the Oprah interview, she said that the racism comments were made to Harry when she was pregnant. He said it was before they got engaged. That's a year and a half apart.
Which is it? Hearsay. Do I still have the hearsay? I don't have it here. Hold on. Here, I do it.
It's convenient.
Oh, I have. That's convenient.
Objection. Hearsay. Wait, you asked the question. Okay.
Oh, God. But you asked the question. I can't let it over. Anyway, it's hearsay. We remember from all our trials. It's hearsay.
They couldn't even decide what year this was supposed to have happened. So a lot of it just smelt to me of being wrong, untrue, very damaging. But no, none of my criticism of Meghan Markle has got anything to do with her skin color or upbringing or anything. In fact, I would think more of her because of her background. I think it was, as I wrote in my piece on the day they got married, this is a great moment for our monarchy, which is a very white family, obviously, just historically, right? I don't blame them. It's just like a lot of families in Britain, like their family, they're very white. It was great to see someone who was not from the normal background.
Is that really the reason you got let go by ITV?
Yeah, I didn't believe her, and I was told if you don't apologize for disbelieving it, then what they didn't tell me.
So here's the big one. Again, because I'll just keep playing without commentary. What's important about this is exactly why he got fired. And you got to go back and remember, he wouldn't apologize. He had to apologize. But did you all know it was Meghan that called to demand the apology?
When this ultimatum was put to me, they didn't tell me that the night before, she had written to the female boss of ITV and demanded she fire me.
Wow.
Personally.
Wow.
Right? And they didn't tell me that. If I'd known that, I would never have quit. I'd have had the public debate. I'd have had the argument. I wasn't going to be held ransom by some lying Princess Pinocchio, as I called her.
Did you want to quit, or did they force you out?
No, they said you apologize or you have to leave.
So you got fired, essentially.
Well, I could have apologized and
and
groveled, but why would I do that?
You know, you once said after the Meghan Markle interview that freedom of speech is a hill you're happy to die on, and you're off to spend more time with your opinions. In this era of everybody having an opinion and a voice, should people be able to say whatever they want without consequences?
Well, listen, even under the First Amendment, which is the most brilliant
he's going to go off
free speech probably anywhere in the world, there are limitations.
Yeah, and I don't want to get into too much of this because he starts talking about the limitations, and they're keywords you can't say. But I'm curious what you think of all that. It does feel like Charlemagne and the other host there, I forget his name. And comments are brutal on this too as you go through. no one should be looking at the Breakfast Club for political information. Piers took over the entire interview. Breakfast Club was totally out of their element. You know, it's bad in the show when you got Piers Morgan sounding fair and sensible. We have to stop blaming everything that's wrong with this country and racism and sexism. Charlemagne needs to expand his political knowledge. They did a whole thing about Trump derangement syndrome and other, which was actually kind of interesting. Piers made some good points comparing the fact that everybody hates Trump so much and then blames Trump for things. And I don't like Trump, but I will succeed to what Piers said of Obama did a lot of the things they complain about more, and people just treat him like a hero, but treat Trump like the villain. It is an interesting debate, and Piers talks about that more on the show if you want to hear Pierce's opinion on it. But that's how embarrassing that Piers come across the river and have a conversation about American history, Constitution better than two Americans. Couldn't be more disgusted by Charlemagne and Envy, that's the other guy, for their lack of American historical knowledge and their staunch bias. But that's the thing, like these two guys are like super crazy liberals who are, you know, checked out, who think that, yeah, everyone just hates Meghan Markle because they're racist. And what was so amazing was Piers basically like, no, oh yeah, that's true. I didn't think of that. Yeah, you're right. It was pretty amazing to see. He schooled these two in their own studio, mind you, about it. Because yeah, Meghan's a liar. That's my biggest problem. And that's why I've come around and reported on it so much, as Piers just said. She's painted this whole victim racist thing when I don't believe it. And then they've stretched it out. They've used this victim narrative to paint this picture to try to get places. Thank God people have wised up. People have wised up, thank God. And they're starting to feel it. So you think. They're starting to feel it. But are they? Are they? Apparently the comeback continues. Oh my goodness. And look at this one. Wait, hold on. This is one. Careful Unity. No, wait, sorry, I had the wrong one. Oh yeah, their chemistry caught on camera. Oh, I'm just getting started here in the live. I'm going to break down all this stuff, but I'm just using this as an opportunity to remind everybody to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, join here and on Patreon to get the full replays of the show if you haven't already, because yes, I'm going to talk so much more. There's a lot of good stuff you're not going to miss, and we're going to do it right now, so don't go anywhere. But I want to plug it really quick. Our Patreon. Go on over to our Patreon. You'll get alerted. You'll get the replay there. This is the place to see it. And I'm excited for you guys to start getting all the awesome perks over here on the Patreon. And here as a member, we'll still put them unlisted in the community. You're just going to get them on Patreon first. And then the next day, we'll have them ready for YouTube. So much is coming. Get excited for it. And what are you waiting for? Click. Who's clicking on it? Click right now. It's free. Ideally, you pay. But just at least go click the free one.